Imagine you're a black intelligence officer in a foreign country, tasked with recruiting a person who's profiting from slave labor, or spending your nights at the office watching drone footage of explosions after your mother dies of cancer.
Do you think that people on the outside understand what intelligence officers go through?
No, I don't believe that people on the outside can fully comprehend what intelligence officers go through.
Yannicki Cates and other former senior intelligence officers who spoke with Newsy for this story have never shared their mental health challenges with the news organization.
I was one of few minority female leaders at the agency. Because of the stigma around mental health, I really felt like I didn't want to admit that I needed help.
She had worked in a conflict zone, but says another battle began after her second son was born.
I woke up after his first birthday and realized, why do I still cry every day coming into work? And why do I still have these thoughts of like he's going to get really sick or that something really terrible is going to happen?
She was later diagnosed with anxiety and delayed postpartum depression. For Douglas Wise, it was alcohol.
They could smell it on me when I came to work in the morning. The first time I knew was when literally it was an intervention by my colleagues and by my supervisor, and literally called me into the office and said, you have a serious problem and you need to do something about it.
Are there a lot of intelligence officers who seek out your advice and want to learn about your experience?
I would say I probably get a call about every month and every other month.
Intelligence officers aren't allowed to share classified information with a therapist outside of their agencies. And some worry that speaking candidly with a therapist on the inside may hurt their careers.
In a place that keeps secrets, there are no secrets when it comes to your personnel file.
Brian Scott calls it a hallway file.
If a manager needs to understand what kind of a person he or she is getting in their field office, if a promotion board wants to make sure before they elevate someone to a senior rank, the issues that should be handled with confidentiality and only between that officer and his or her mental health support system will be made available to those assignment and or promotion boards. And once one person knows, it's not a secret anymore.
We sat down with the CIA's Director of Medical Services, who asked that we conceal her appearance and just use her first name, Victoria.
We are not immune to life. Life happens to our folks just like everybody else. And so we do see anxiety and depression in our workforce. We also see marital issues and family problems and family stressors. Sometimes this is related to what we're asking our officers to do, to move around, to serve in different parts of the world, to be away from their families for long periods of time.
Some intelligence officers say that they fear seeking any kind of mental health support because they're scared that it's going to jeopardize their career. Is there any truth to that?
We definitely hear that. We hear that, and we very much are trying to address it. And I would say what's most likely to jeopardize someone's career is if they have an issue and they don't seek out support and it gets worse and worse and worse and then starts to impact their reliability, their judgment, and their stability.
She says the stigma around mental health issues has slowly been lifting.
Senior leaders are sharing their own experiences, both with mental health struggles and with seeking out help from our employee assistance program or other resources. And that is really setting the culture and setting the tone that, yes, you can have a problem, address the problem, and still very much succeed in your career.
Yannicki Cates first saw an agency therapist, then got a recommendation for a professional outside.
What kind of help worked for you?
My therapist was able to help me latch on to my logical brain and think through, why am I feeling this? where is this coming from? Because I had been trained for so long to keep this facade of nothing is wrong.
Doug Wise says he went through a 30-day treatment program, followed by 2 years of counseling and another year of monitoring. He says what really helped him was never feeling judged.
They're not judgmental. They're not, assessing whether you're a good person or a bad person. You are just a person with a disease of alcoholism. The combination of the agency's rehabilitative program and the loving support of my wife allows me to do this interview today. You'd be talking to me, in front of a gravestone in Arlington is what you'd be doing.
Eventually, he was able to return to every part of his job.
I ended up as the number 2 international intelligence agency of the most powerful nation in the history of the human race. That says a lot about the intelligence community. It says a lot about the rehabilitative program. And yes, it says a little bit about me too, and being able to recognize I had a problem and be willing to do the hard work to get through the program.
Now, the CIA provides mental health services before officers deploy, when they're in a war zone, when psychologists embed with officers, and when they return. This is also offered to officers when they leave the agency. There is a newly formed grief support group and a group for people struggling with alcohol or PTSD. And Doug Wise says this is all a counterintelligence priority, because if the agency can't take care of its intelligence officers, then other countries like Russia would certainly take advantage of that. Chance.